Cleanup is underway in Johnson County after overnight storms left behind downed trees and power lines. 5 News reporter Claire Everbach spent the morning in Clarksville and shows us what some of that damage looks like.
The Johnson County Department of Emergency Management says that fortunately no injuries were reported after Wednesday night storms, but the damage it left behind is certainly still visible. Emergency Management says the storms mainly caused power outages, downed power lines, and tree debris in the Coal Hill and Clarksville areas. 5 News spent the morning in Clarksville, where the most significant damage we saw was a large tree that fell near a home off South Klein Road. Crews were sent out around midnight and worked until about 4 this morning to respond to storm damage across the county.
We're just so thankful that no one was injured. Again, we know we have some more weather coming in on Friday, so we hope everybody can stay safe on Friday.
From what we saw this morning, it appears that people are out and about getting back to their normal routines today. Of course, it is important to remember to still be cautious of slick spots on the roads and stay away from downed power lines. In Clarksville, covering news where you live, Claire Everbach, 5 News.
All right, thanks for that, Claire. Well, we did hear from emergency officials in Arkoma. The volunteer department is stretched thin and is asking for more people to step up. Arkoma Emergency Management Director Bobby Parker says that there's no magic number for the amount of volunteers they need. He says that they just always need more. Parker says for the most part, when people think of emergency management, they think only about severe weather. But the department works year-round. He says that there's a role for anyone as long as you're willing to show up.
We all start at the same place too. That's what a lot of volunteers, I don't know anything. I don't know how to go. That's just be here. 99% is being here. 1% is training, right? So just volunteering, getting your name on the list, making yourself available. We'll take care of the rest.
The only restriction is that you must be an Oklahoma resident. If you are interested, you can stop by the City Hall for an application either through the police or water departments. We also want to remind you during severe weather season, you should be signed up for emergency alerts in your county. You can find out how to sign up for your county by texting the word alert to 479-785-5000. That number is right there on your screen, and we'll send you back a link to our article. The Arkansas Supreme Court has upheld a lower court's decision denying post-conviction relief to Zachary Hawley. Zachary is a Benton County man sentenced to death for the 2012 killing of a 6-year-old girl. Hawley was convicted in 2015 after investigations found that he kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and killed the child while babysitting her in Bentonville. In the latest appeal, Hawley's attorneys argued that his trial lawyers failed to present evidence of childhood abuse and a developmental disorder that they say could have affected his behavior. State attorneys countered that his original defense was reasonable and that the jury's decision was justified based on the evidence. Hawley, now 41 years old, remains on death row, and his legal challenges to the sentence are expected to continue. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth warned Iran this morning that the U.S. military is ready to restart combat operations should Tehran not agree to a deal. Natalie Brand has more from the White House.
We are reloading with more power than ever before, and better intelligence. Even more importantly, better intelligence than ever before.
At a Pentagon briefing Thursday morning, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth had a warning for Iran if it does not agree to a deal with the United States.
If Iran chooses poorly, then they will have a blockade and bombs dropping on infrastructure, power, and energy.
Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Dan Kane said the U.S. military has expanded its blockade in the Strait of Hormuz to pursue any vessel, even in international waters, that attempts to provide support to Iran.
This blockade applies to all ships, regardless of nationality, heading into or from Iranian ports.
The comments come as Pakistani officials continue efforts to arrange another round of U.S.-Iran talks ahead of the ceasefire expiring next Tuesday.
Pakistan has been and will continue to play its role to facilitate engagement and dialogue between the two countries.
Iranian officials are emphasizing that an agreement to end Israel's war on Hezbollah in Lebanon is important to the larger ceasefire with the U.S.
President Trump announced overnight the leaders of Israel and Lebanon would talk today for the first time in 3 decades. But this morning, there are reports Lebanon's president declined to speak with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It comes days after diplomats from Israel and Lebanon met in Washington for the first time in decades. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
As the war continues to push up those gas prices, here's what to expect as you are filling up today. According to Gas Buddy, average prices in Rogers sit at $3.63. In Fort Smith, it's around $3.47, and Clarksville is seeing an average of $3.55.